The EU referendum is happening on the 23rd of June. Massive decision, big repercussions. Are you going to vote in or are you going to vote out? My name is Melody Hossaini. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm founder of Inspiring Age International. I am an immigrant in this country. I grew up in Sweden, so I'm a Swedish national. And I, last year, was awarded New Europeans Most Influential Woman by the European Parliament. I have been watching the news with interest, all the bulletins about the EU referendum and the debates. At times when I've switched the channel, I'll be very honest with you, I have thought that I perhaps have put on a horror film. This kind of comments that people are making, how freely they're expressing what I would say is hatred, has been disgusting and horrifying, especially about the way people are speaking about immigrants, as if they are a faceless group in society, and dehumanizing that group, that immigrant group. I think it's unacceptable. The EU referendum debate has become interchangeable with immigration debates, whereas actually the EU referendum and the repercussions of that are so much bigger than that. It's much more than immigration. Now, let me tell you something, okay? Before you say immigration is a big issue, don't be naive. I'm not naive. I do believe immigration is an issue that needs to be tackled. However, I also believe a few other things. One, we have to deal with every issue facing us in this society with kindness and with tolerance. That's it. There is no but to that at all. The second thing is the immigration issue and the policies that need to derive from that can be achieved by being members of the European Union. We don't need to vote out in order to necessarily start to solve or decrease immigration, okay? That isn't necessarily one or the other, okay? So if you are thinking, actually, I would like to vote in, but I believe immigration is an issue, then leaving isn't the only way, because in fact, the repercussions of leaving, I believe, would be so dire that it would present itself with much more complex issues, such as the economy. That is a no-brainer. I mean, I am not qualified, nor is any one person to make decisions or look at forecasts. They are forecasts of what will happen if we leave the European Union. However, there are people who are qualified as a collective to look at that data. And if you just look at the data, if you look at the research, if you look at the experts who are advising us on this issue, it is very, very clear that remaining in Europe will be much better for us as a future. And furthermore, away from the economy, a them and us attitude has never been good for the world. It's never been good for this country. It's never been good for anybody to say it's ours, to put our hands around something that everyone's helped create and pretend like you just created it and it's yours. Yes, I do believe that Britain should be British. I believe that Britain should be proud of its heritage. I think that that's all very important and that's fine, and I welcome that. However, I do believe a them and us kind of attitude and vote and the way forward isn't that. And I actually think that in future, if you were to operate like that and operate on the basis of hatred, on the basis of hostility, on the basis of fear, because it's scaremongering people into something that isn't the case. I'm sorry, but someone needs to say this, that actually, if you're pointing the finger at immigrants and refugees, and today is the start of Refugee Week, okay? The Global Refugee Week, of which I'm such a proud ambassador of the I Am a Refugee campaign, alongside other really influential, incredible refugees who've contributed so much to this country, like Rita Ora, who's a Kosovan refugee, like Michael Marks, who is the co-founder of Marks and Spencer's, Judith Kerr, the author, and lots of other incredible ex-refugees. Now, If you're pointing the finger at refugees and immigrants and saying, look, they are affecting our economy, they are taking our jobs, they are doing whatever it is that you're saying they're doing, then surely it would be much better use of our time and more financially viable for us to point the fingers at the billionaires who are taking our millions and millions and millions, okay? And there are people who are evading tax and with their offshore accounts and lots of things like that. And also the recession was caused by bankers. It's so complex. I don't want to go into that, but there are much bigger, more powerful groups than to use the most vulnerable people in our community as the scapegoats for some of the problems created by those with power. It's unfair and it's unjust. It's unjust. We created some of these situations, or played a part in creating, should I say then, that's fairer, that people are running from. And now we want to say we want nothing to do with it. That's refugees. By the way, refugees and immigration, immigrants and refugees, they're not, interchangeable either. They're different groups. It's like inviting someone for dinner and asking them to pick up the bill. I do believe everybody needs to contribute to the country. They need to learn to speak the language. I think that's important for community cohesion. I think this is a very, very complex issue. However, I am frightened by the language, the views that people proudly express, which are hatred towards a really vulnerable group of our communities. And sadly, if we continue like that, the price that we will pay to pick up the pieces years from now will be much greater than the price that you think we're paying now. On Thursday, when the EU referendum will happen, I will be locked out of the voting station and not permitted to vote, which is, it's fine, I guess. But please, I urge you to use your vote, whichever way you're going to vote. That's democracy. That's why it's a referendum. Go and vote. Have a say. Get involved. And that's all I can ask, really. Thank you. Tweet me your views. Instagram, Snapchat, Melody, MELODY_Hossaini, HOSSAINI. Thank you.